Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives have a certain criteria for what qualifies as a secure gun storage device.
More than $1 billion in federal money have been cut for public broadcasters. And that's going to make things tough for many public radio and television stations all across the country and here in Indy. Louie Genovese explains and examines the potential impacts.
The Trump administration's federal budget cuts take away over $1 billion from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. The public media organization provides nearly a third of the funding for Indiana's NPR and PBS stations. Indiana PBS's director says the stations do have a plan in place to move forward.
Public media is not going away in Indiana. It will remain.
Mark Newman has led IPBS for 7 years, overseeing 17 stations across the state that provide not only news but also public service announcements like education updates and disaster and health alerts. Newman says stations that lose their funding will have to rely on sponsorships, memberships, and other external grants.
Stations will also have to change the way they operate. They will have to probably condense themselves, make themselves smaller.
Republican Representative Jim Baird voted for the bill.
When we get into the NPR, we're talking about programs that were really not aligned with the community and the public's interest.
Indiana Senator Jim Banks was one of the 51 Senate Republicans who voted for the cuts, claiming modern public media is biased in favor of Democrats. In a written statement provided to Fox 59, he said, quote, "Hardworking Hoosiers shouldn't be forced to foot the bill for left-wing media or social experiments overseas," a claim that Newman denies.
There is work that's been done, editorial team, a new senior editor, group of senior editors to ensure that it's representative of the perspective that is being reported on.
Democratic Representative Andre Carson opposes the cuts, saying in a statement to Fox 59, "Public media saves lives, educates our kids, and keeps local journalism alive. Our communities can't afford to be left in the dark." Right now, both NPR and PBS are suing the administration, saying their First Amendment rights have been violated. Reporting in Washington, Louie Genovese, Fox 59 News. Deep inside President Trump's major domestic policy law is Senator Todd Young's Affordable Housing Credit Improvement Act. Young first approved the bipartisan provision in 2017. He wants to use private sector investment to boost housing supply in central Indiana and nationwide. The act increases the number of credits available to states by 50% in an effort to firm up financing for housing projects.
And that's really the only proven way to build out millions more affordable housing units for working and middle-class Americans.
Young says the legislation will create 30,000 units across the state and will place modest renters in areas with more job opportunities. Some affordable housing advocates say the act won't be enough to solve affordability issues. Advocates like Andrew Bradley from Prosperity, Indiana.
The rub is that the production of those homes can be more expensive than they're able to turn them over to.
Senator Young proposed the legislation along with the Neighborhood Homes Investment Act and the Yes in My Backyard Act. Both look to reduce the barriers to building and rezoning communities.
His Neighborhood Homes Investment Act would help address the investment gap, the appraisal gap between the cost that it takes to produce a new home and the price that you can sell it to and keep it affordable.
While both Senator Young and Bradley would like to see the remaining affordable housing legislation pass, the senator believes that the law that passed last week is a good first step.
So this will be great for communities, great for families, and if you scale that across the country, really great for America.
Now, this effort is a bipartisan one. Senator Young is working on the Neighborhood Homes Investment Act with Virginia Democratic Senator Mark Warner. Reporting from D.C., Louie Genovese, Fox 59 News. Brian Garman is a director of personnel and operations at Beech Grove High School in Indianapolis. He says the school utilizes the Community Eligibility Provision, known as CEP, to automatically enroll 2,800 students that receive SNAP into free lunch programs.
And so for 3 years, we've been CEP, which means that all of our students are receiving free breakfast and lunch every day.
CEP is part of the National School Lunch Act and is meant to provide meals to school districts that experience high levels of poverty. A recent study showed over 43% of Indiana school districts are eligible for CEP. That ranks the state 37th in the country. However, those numbers could drop with the recent changes to SNAP. Purdue University agriculture professor Dr. Joseph Balagdas says the changes include stricter work requirements for recipients and shifting more of the program's costs onto states.
To the extent that they're not able to carry that burden, that could be fewer federal and state dollars flowing to food insecure households.
Fewer households eligible for SNAP can make it tough for schools to maintain their CEP programs. Without CEP's automatic enrollment provision, families receiving SNAP might need to apply separately for free or discounted school lunches. Food and child nutrition analyst Aaron Heisem says asking school staff to take on the added workload of enrollment is inefficient and a poor use of resources.
And that's time that they could have spent engaging students, conducting wellness activities, meeting with local farmers, and improving meal quality.
Beech Grove is in its third of a 4-year plan with CEP, and Garmin says the changes won't take effect until 2027.
We've already notified our parents that it will be in place for this school year, and I'm anticipating that it will be in place for the 26-27 school year as well.
Garmin says the CEP reimbursement will depend on how many students are no longer eligible for SNAP benefits. In Washington, Louie Genovese, Fox 59 News. Indiana Senator Todd Young reintroduced a bill that requires social media companies like Instagram, Facebook, X, and Snapchat to work with federal agencies to monitor potential drug sales. The Cooper Davis and Devin Norton Act is named after 2 men who died of an overdose of fentanyl and drugs they purchased over social media. Privacy attorney Joseph Camerata says the bipartisan bill will change the relationship between the tech giants and the federal government.
Here, the provider of the social media platform will be an agent to the federal government, and they must report to the government what they find if they come across it.
Camerata says the platforms won't change their systems, but will instead utilize their already existent natural language processing. Indiana University professor and substance abuse expert John Agley says the process will involve analyzing user chats for subtle references to drugs.
If you see a conversation about Skippy, it could be a peanut butter. It could be someone's nickname, or it could be a psychostimulant.
Although Camerata is supportive of the bill, he says it could cross a line and lead to potential Fourth Amendment right violations.
Where the concern arises is whether or not the provider will somehow get into private messages where there is no expectation that there would be public.
In a statement to Fox 59, Senator Young says we need to do more to address the flow of these drugs that are poisoning young Americans, including distribution via social media. Camerata says although it is a sincere legislation meant to protect kids, the potential breach of privacy should be addressed before going forward.
They're not just mere throwaways. They're significant concerns that should be addressed before this bill becomes law.
According to the Indiana Department of Public Health, since 2021, deaths by drug overdoses declined from 2,800 to 1,500. The bill currently sits in Judiciary Committee. Reporting in Washington, I'm Louie Genovese.